Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to read The Vampire Part 2, or number 2. It's probably a better way to say it. Remember, before we read The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, we read The Vampire by James Stagg, I believe his name was. Let me look that up and make sure I'm correct about his name. Hold on one second. John Stagg, pardon me. And that was written in 1810. Well, now we're going to read another story called The Vampire. And this was by James Clerk Maxwell, and this was written in 1845. Now, I'm going to tell you, right off the bat, this poem looks awfully hard when you look at the first. In fact, look at the first 4 lines of it right now before I even start reading. You should have it in front of you, whether it's in paper form or you have it on the internet. Please look at it. Look at those first 4 lines. I will silently read them while you silently read them. A lot of you are probably saying at this point, wait, what? Is this English? You're going to notice this is what we would call something like Old English. And this was written in 1845. It's not the way they talk. What I think happened here is the author tried to make it seem a little more romantic by making it more medieval sounding, by making it, using words like this. At first glance, it looks ridiculously hard and ununderstandable, right? But you're going to see as I read it that it's really not as bad as you think. So let's go. The Vampire, compiled by James Clerk Maxwell. I'm going to read through it twice. Are you ready? There is a knight rides through the woods, and a duchy knight is he. Now, a duchy, have you ever heard of the term a duke or a duchess? That's a duke or a duchess is in charge in the Middle Ages of a land period called a duchy, right? And a duchy is just like a town. So the duchy knight is a knight who works for that town, all right? So he's a duchy knight. Let's go on. There is a knight rides through the woods, and a duchy knight is he. And sure he is on a message sent, he rides so hastily. He passes the ark, and he passes the bark, and he passes many a tree. But pleasant to him was to see so slim, for beneath it he did see the boniest lady he ever saw. She was so skinny and fair. And there she sat beneath the saw, combing her golden hair. And then the knight said, O lady bright, what chance has brought you here? But say the word, and ye shall go back to your kindred dear. Then up spoke the lady fair, I have no friends or kin, but in a little boat I live, amidst the waves' loud din. Then answered thus the duchy knight, I'll follow you through all, forgin ye be in a little boat, the world it seems so small. They go through the woods, and through the woods, to the end of the woods they came. And when they came to the end of the wood, they saw the sea salt foam. And when they saw the wee boat that danced on top of the waves, and first got in the lady fair, and then the knight so brave, they got into the wee boat and rowed with all their might. When the knight so brave, he turned about, and he looked at the lady bright, and he looked at her bony cheeks, and he looked at her 2 bright eyes. But her rosy cheeks grew ghastly pale, and sure she seemed as she was dead. The false knight grew pale with fright, and his hair rose up on end. For gone by days came to his mind, and his former lover he kenned. Then spoke the lady, Thou, false knight, hast done me much ill. For you didst forsake me long ago, but I am constant still. For though I live in the woods so cold, at rest I cannot be, until I sucks the good life blood of the man that gave me thee. He saw her lips were wet with blood, and he saw her lifeless eyes. And loud he cried, Get from my side, thou vampire corpse unclean. But no, he is in her magic boat and on the wide sea. And the vampire sucks his good life blood. She sucks him till he dies. So now beware, whoever you are, that walks in this lonely wood. Beware of that deceitful sprite, the ghost that sucks the blood. Now, if you'll recall, I've been talking about this a little bit. I'm not sure if we've gotten this to our research yet, but the cultural origins aspect of research and the idea that different cultures throughout the history of the earth all have, not all, but most of them have some kind of vampire in their lore, in their history. One of them, across many of the cultures, talks about a creature that transforms itself into a beautiful woman in order to catch men and then eat them, or vice versa. Some of them do men and then they catch women and then they eat them as well. So they sexually seduce them. Now, the knight in this story, I don't think he was involved. This wasn't a sexual seduction for him. He wasn't he didn't see her and say, oh, she's hot, I'm going to go hook up with her. No, he went to go help this woman because he's a knight and that's his job, to help damsels in distress, right? And he says, I'll bring you to your home. What this knight didn't realize is that this girl is his ex-girlfriend, or not even maybe his girlfriend. She said, you forsook me. So, and I am constant still. So you dissed me. I loved you. You dissed me. And I've been in love with you ever since. And since then, I've been turned into a vampire. And now I'm going to kill you because you dissed me. Listen, let's read it again. There is a knight rides through the woods, and a duchy knight is he. And sure he is on a message sent, he rides so hastily. He passes the ark, he passes the bark, he passes many a tree. But pleasant to him was to see so slim, for beneath it he did see the boniest lady that he ever saw. She was so skinny and fair. Now, has anybody ever seen a fat vampire before? No. They don't eat food. They only eat blood, so they're not going to get fat off blood. So skinny doesn't necessarily mean you're a vampire. It's just something, it's a possible vampire characteristic. Also, skinny and fair. Fair means pale. I am skinny and fair. Not a vampire, but I could see how somebody, if they saw me doing other vampiric things, might chalk that up to a list and say, hey, watch out, this guy. But let's continue. And there she sat beneath the saw, combing her golden hair. And then the knight said, O lady bright, what chance hath brought you here? But say the word, and ye shall go back to your kindred dear. Then up spoke the lady fair, I have nor friends or kin, but in a little boat I live, amidst the waves' loud din. Now that's not vampiric, it's just weird that she says I have no friends or family. There are people out there that have no friends or family, but a young lady in the woods and say something like that, it's a little bit weird to me. But let's keep going. But in a little boat I live, amidst the waves' loud din. Then answered thus the duchy knight, I'll follow you through all, for ye get in ye little boat, the world it seems so small. Then they went through the wood, and through the wood to the end of the woods they came. And when they came to the end of the woods, they saw the sea salt foam. And when they saw the wee boat that danced on top of the wave, and first got in the lady fair, and then the knight so brave. They got into the wee boat and rowed with all their might. When the knight so brave, he turned about and looked at the lady bright. And he looked at her bony cheeks, and he looked at her two bright eyes. But her rosy cheeks grew ghastly pale. Vampire. And she seems as though she was dead. I mean, it's one thing to be ghastly pale. I'm pale, but I don't look like I'm dead. Now, when I'm very sick, my wife might come to me or my kids and say, oh my gosh, Dad, you're so pale now. You look like you're like pasty, like you're almost close to death. Are you okay? Oh, I don't feel good, right? That's how I know I'm really sick. He says, you actually look like you're dead. She was so dead she'd been. The false knight grew pale with fright. And when they say false knight, he's actually a knight. That's coming from her perspective. She calls him false because he, forsook her. But let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Can people break up with other people if they feel like they're not the right person for them? Yes. Do they deserve to be killed for that? No. Are there certain people out in the world who do, though, freak out when somebody leaves them and say, you're mine forever. If I can't have you, then nobody can have you? Are there people that evil out there? Yes, there are. Continue. The false knight rose up with his great fright, and his hair rose up on end. For gone by days came to his mind, and his former lover he kenned. So that's when he realizes, oh crap, I remember you. Then spoke the lady, thou false knight hast done me much ill, for you forsake me long ago, but I am constant still. For though I live in the woods so cold, at rest I cannot be. She says she cannot rest until she sucks the good life blood of the man that gave me thee. She says, I can't feel better about myself until I suck your blood, the guy who dissed me, who makes me feel this awfulness. He saw her lips were wet with blood, and he saw her lifeless eyes. And loud he cried, get from my side, thou vampire corpse unclean. But no, he is in her magic boat and on the wide sea. And the vampire sucks his good life blood, who sucks him till he dies. So now beware, whoever you are that walks in this lonely wood. Beware of that deceitful sprite, the ghost that sucks the blood. Yeah, I don't think there's any way you can say that this isn't a vampire story. It's only called The Vampire. He calls her a vampire. She sucks his blood. She's bony. She's pale. She's looking dead. She actually says, I'm not going to rest until I suck your blood and kill you. So you have plenty of notes that you can take and quotes that you can use to fill in your Vampire Storm page for this poem. Fabulous job, everybody. We're now done with poetry. We have read 6 poems that may or may not have been vampire stories. Hopefully I hear about some of them in your final essay. Specifically, Dare to Vampire. I should hear about that in everybody's essay about why the vampire legend is still continuing. You should probably and definitely list and talk about the first vampire poem ever written and point out that most of the characteristics that we see in today's vampire poems, if not all, are all found in that one, which was written 270 years ago. Really fantastic job, everybody. Have a great day.